I apologize for that little intermission from the last video, but my phone was being really janky with me. So basically, after going over the 10 theories, I was trying to go over about Tesla's affliction, or affliction, which basically is just just a very active and awakened third eye, basically, which is how he was able to train his mind to utilize the mind lab. And since I had so much interference with my phone, I basically just told Tesla, just write your shit down on this thing. And here's not just about his affliction, but also a myriad of other different topics that he wanted to put his 2 cents on. My affliction was just a highly developed mind's eye or third eye chakra, which happens to coincidentally lie in between the brow. Early in life, I didn't know that the third eye chakra was actually as inherent to us human beings as ever, as is the other chakras of the spirit. After this was learned, I started to hone in not just my third eye, but my mind lab. I didn't care much for sleep, only getting maximum 2 hours a night. Reason being was that not only was my spirit able to keep me awake many hours of the day, but when I slept, I left my physical body for all but a moment so I could escape to my mind lab. The same one that I can use. And I've also made some modifications to it, like my mind studio, a bit of a study, and like the corner is like basically where the lab is, and it's fucking futuristic as hell. On top of it, like half it's futuristic and otherworldly, or multidimensionally, I guess, because there's all kinds of technology that's spread throughout the multiverse. And then like there's half it that's like more modern, that has like a 3D printer and a few other things and whatnot. And the Mind Studio, which is like basically on the opposite corner of the area that it resides in, is where my 3 other mediums, where they basically fuck with music and they send beats to me, and I just start beatboxing if I want to. But right now they're just chilling for the most part. Anyway, this is also the place where he's also kept his biggest secrets that are even greater than the death ray, even with my help. Because within our mind lab, we hold secrets for multidimensional travel, traversal of the Akashic records in physical form, teleportation, and even my particle weaponry. Everyone seems to be both curious but skeptical about. The particle weapon / death ray at first was meant more as basically an exaggeration. Like, yes, it can be utilized to be destroying all kinds of stuff, but that was it doesn't seem to be feasible, at least at the time that I came up with it. Though, and also it was maybe meant to be pushed aside as if like it was not going to be utilized for anything at all. So, and hey, it worked, kind of. But I do believe that the U.S. government is probably somewhere in their black projects. I don't care to know which one it might be, because there's who knows how many, with how much of a budget is being used on some of them. But that's just more of my interpretation of it. But anyway, But since nanotechnology is on the rise, over the next few years, a handheld version of the particle weapon, which would be just an energy version of your standard Glock, like it'd be just just a small pistol that can fire energy projectiles. Like, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Though it would have more stopping power than that Kevlar would need a shielding system to prevent it from being melted off. Ammunition would also consist of like literally it's tiny compressed. I shouldn't say compressed, but it would be tungsten particles that be utilized as the ammunition. And the energy cell that I've thought about would be either a continuous flow or just like a compressed state of both the deionized gas and tungsten particles, or be separated so that the ionized gas is on one side and the the tungsten particles on the other side, and through a specialized process would raise both of them into a chamber, and it would then be charged by a mechanism. A stabilizing mechanism need to be in place so that it would not like melt anything outside of it, which you probably need like a magnetic type of force required to keep the pressure stable in there and to increase the pressure. And hold on, pressurized enough so that upon leaving the barrel, which would follow a carrier beam of sorts, a discharge beam could theoretically launch itself through the air and towards its target. Or, to be more precise, it would align to firing off hundreds of nano-sized particles at extremely high velocities due to their much smaller mass. A beam could be created, but the components needed would have to be in lieu of a particle accelerator, shrunk down to a pistol size, of which power requirements would also decrease. Different types of particles can be utilized, though the components needed to make sure the weapon itself won't blow up in your face are still being worked with to ensure safety of the wielder, the public, and the environment. Maybe 2 years until the particle weapon can become feasible with nanotechnology in mind. Unless there are those out there that wish to partake in the new market of energy weapons, though this, as much as it kind of pains me to say that I can pave the way for a weapons market, it's, as much as it goes against my humanitarian value, I mean, unfortunately in this day and age, like, you have to find some way to make money, but this is just me. This is more of a side step kind of operation that I can work with people with. But anyway, that's not what I would prefer to go towards. With that aside, I still wish to continue with free energy, but in a more subtle approach leading up to another Wondercleave. Think that of which would involve improving upon the electric car, solar technology, and wind technology. How is it that you haven't made solar windmills, which is basically a combination of both the wind turbine, that of which the blades themselves have solar panel lining on them, or panels that as the turbine rotates, the solar panels that are taking in the sunlight would have special sensors to where as the blade is spinning, it would still get whatever amount of sunlight would be required to get to make it so that the attachment would be merging it with the turbine would be feasible, or at least be workable. At least Brad and I have had like a merger of tech, so as we have like 2 different designs at least, but we don't know if anyone else has come up with it, which I'm pretty sure with some likeliness that there has been at least a couple of these types of ideas tossed around back and forth across the internet. And the scope of your internet, I'm honestly amazed at how far information technology has come. Like, this is something that I've wanted to see, but it wasn't just like spirit, like not just for information in general, but you see this little thing that we're doing, right? Basically, it's half of the third eye hand sign. The left hand is for, or your less dominant hand is taking in and receiving signals or energy from the higher dimensions if you're in communication with your higher self or any other deity that you wish to get into contact with. And the dominant hand is more for transmitting or sending messages, and this could also help with telepathy. Even, I mean, this is basically your your all interpretations of a cell phone, but in the spiritual sense. Like, that's part of the reason why I kind of had this type of hand sign within all my pictures, because I was basically putting in information into the Akashic record, and Brad just happened to be pretty sure the only one that has picked up on my signal and was able to get back to me. But anyway, another noteworthy thing I wish to say, so Jim Murray came up with a SERPS machine, which is a switched energy resonant power supply machine, which I'm not sure that you all are familiar with that. I'm assuming some of you have touched upon it. But I feel, in my opinion, and Brad's opinion, we believe that a SERPS machine, along with utilizing a series of Tesla coils, since they can take in a small voltage and increase it to a larger voltage, you can utilize a solar panel and then and utilize either a SERPS machine or possibly even a Tesla coil to get a lot of energy out of it. I mean, it would be an idea, would it not? But then again, it's all up for your interpretations to be utilized. And one thing that I really wish to make note of is nanotechnology really needs to be paying close attention, because it has the capability to shine with the, especially of which if you're dealing with cybernetics, robotics, and quantum computing, and even quantum circuitry, because that's going to be the next step for your current level of circuitry. You need to create new type of circuitry, so that, because fiber optic cabling and carbon nanotubes will aid in creating much more smaller and economically more friendly types of batteries. I mean, Brad and I have already pondered upon the idea. We've already come up with a few different designs within the Mind Lab, mind you. And also, one thing that I wanted to add on to that as well is that nanotechnology has the potential to merge consciousness and the human soul to body, especially for those that have suffered a lot of physical damage, like people that have mental illness, or they have a like central nervous system condition, or muscle spasms, or something like that. Like, nanotechnology has the potential to make it so that robotics can be scaled down more to where it's more like kind of like a lining that you just put, they surround your body with, because Tesla and I have also mapped out the human spirit and the chakras and quite a large amount of nadi connections. So utilizing that concept in mind, basically, you would take, let's say, something that's like a nano skeleton, a nano exoskeleton, and it'd be lined up along the same route of which that the nadi are along your body, and with a neural uplink to the exoskeleton, it would be possible to, through conscious thought and through thought command and thought energy, you would be able to take that nanoskeleton and be able to interface your spirit with it, with your physical body, a lot easier. And you would also be able to make it so that Reiki healing could potentially be increased. And my point of view as well when it comes to Reiki especially is that it could be very well utilized in the surgery room and the hospitals, Like, especially when you're trying to calm patients down, like, Reiki can, like, if you're very adept at Reiki, you can definitely find your niche in the hospital. Like, not only would you be able to give, like, counseling to people, but also you'd be able to provide extra comfort through spirit. And if you take, and also if you take care of your spirit will take care of your body. It's just simply, it's easy to put it together, honestly. Anyway, I'm gonna have him finish off a little bit. I very much hope that those of you who believe in me and believe in Brad, we can both offer much to the world. I've suffered too much in the afterlife, and Brad believes that he can show the world the beauty that I wish to pass on, a beauty of which that I couldn't pass on in my time. And I strongly urge people that really are fans of me, believe in Brad. Because not only does he know what I know, as it's already apparent, but it's just, you just gotta give my type of technology a chance. Because when I said that I'm looking to the future as well, like, some of these ideas were meant to be used around this time. The past 4 years, unfortunately, Brad was supposed to have, or at least like when he was able to connect with me, he could have brought upon this knowledge to all of us within a couple of years ago, though unfortunately due to his spiritual ignorance, which I don't blame him for, because he hated religion. I shouldn't say he hated, but he isn't a fan of religion. Simply because in his interpretation, religion is very much so controlled spirituality. Unless you're going towards like Taoist, Buddhism, Hinduism, like the actual spiritual religions. Not much so Christianity or anything like that, because I mean, true, they do try to connect the spirit with body and such like that, but the way that it has been used over the past couple thousand years for war and conquest, expansion, divide and conquer, the like. That's one thing that Brad learned that he just did not enjoy about religion. Some of which that even I don't like religion either, simply because of that. But once I learned about spirit, and also once Brad learned about spirit too, finally, like, it's just amazing what you can learn through your spirit. Because, one more thing that I wish to add before Brad and I go back into the mind lab and try to see if we can figure some more stuff out, pardon my French, is that your theory of a holographic universe, it does have a little bit of ground, but it's very misguided, because, I mean, in a sense it is holographic, but at the same time it isn't, because once you understand the higher realms and the higher dimensions of the universe, the source, the Akashic records, and the like, once you all understand that, because Brad and I already understand this, but once you get to the point where you can leave your body through spirit and traverse these realms, especially the Well of Dreams, and when Thoth contacted Brad and I, because we were delving into some areas that we kind of shouldn't, and he actually showed both of us Atlantis. It's at the 5th dimension, the second sub-dimension of the 5th. And Thoth, from what we last recall, is he was within the 4th dimension, which is where the Akashic records lie. And with that, and also he said that our dimension, or our third dimensional reality, is the fourth subdimension of the third dimension. So, with that being said, it's pretty easy to postulate that the multiverse is very much real, and once we learn how to break through the barrier so that we can visit other realities, then who knows what we can do. Like, there's so much potential there that it's... Dude, it's crazy. It is fucking nuts what you can learn. Like, once you've explored your own personal multiverse, that's when you start exploring the multiverse of all of human consciousness. And being able to traverse it through while you're still being connected to your physical body. I mean, I bet you the Bermuda Triangle might have, like, for example, it could be a possible example of multidimensional travel, or even time travel even, because of, from what I've read a few different sources, that there's like a bit of a singularity or some sorts that happens random, I feel like. And like those disappearances of ships, it's quite possible that they left our reality and went into either another reality or just simply went to somewhere else altogether, if it hasn't sunk already, that is. So there's just a fuckload of shit that we do not know at all, that we need to give more in depth into. Especially if it involves spirit, because there's so much shit that our spirits can do that the fact that we've forgotten about this for a long time. I mean, it's no wonder why so many people across the world are going through a spiritual awakening, my friends. Like, yeah, I'll leave all of you to ponder upon that. Until then, I'll bid thee adieu until the next episode.